Charges out of arguably the most important investigation into Trump are likely coming soon. This is in reference to Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis's investigation into Trump's attempts to overturn the 2020 election in the state of Georgia. Now, because this is news that I can give to you really quickly, I'm going to smush it into a segment, excuse me guys, about this bizarre video address that Trump did from Iowa on the subject of abortion. A lot of things were odd about that video, so we'll get to it in just a bit. But first, the big news from the Washington Post. An Atlanta area district attorney investigating whether former President Donald Trump and his allies broke the law when they sought to overturn Trump's 2020 election loss in Georgia said she will announce this summer whether charges will be filed in the case this summer. Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis made the announcement in letters sent to state and law enforcement Monday, urging a, quote, need for heightened security and preparedness in coming months due to this pending announcement. Telling law enforcement to prepare and to have heightened security ready for this announcement. That is really big. You don't prepare law enforcement for something wild unless you're preparing to charge Trump. This is such a crucial case. Trump must be held accountable, as we've talked about so much on this show, for his attempts to overturn the election and pressure election officials to do so. And that is what Fani Willis has been investigating, at least as far as Georgia is concerned, with the call to Brad Raffensperger, the Secretary of State. Find me 11,780 votes, Trump said, and so many other things that we've discussed in the past, and we will continue to discuss moving forward as we get closer to when these charges will likely come against Trump. Now, getting to this video address I mentioned of Trump in Iowa, so much about it was just odd. The audio is unaligned. The video quality is as if it were shot a decade or two ago, and his voice sounds all strange. But that's just the surface level stuff. Then you actually start hearing what's coming out of his mouth, and that is not great either. As I mentioned, this is on the subject of abortion. Take a look.
Another 50 years, because Republicans had been trying to do it for exactly that period of time, 50 years. From my first day in office, I took historic action to protect the unborn. I reinstated and expanded the Mexico City policy, stopped taxpayer funding for abortion providers, and at the United Nations, I made clear that global bureaucrats have no business in another 50 years.
So if he were to be reelected, it would truly be, as his last election was, a disaster for abortion rights, which is yet another reason why we have to work our tails off to prevent him from winning in 2024, if he indeed is the nominee for the Republican Party, which it looks like he will be. Next clip here.
Still to traditional religious teachings. Under my leadership, we will bring back God to our schools and our public squares, and that will happen very quickly. On day one, we will begin to find the radical zealots and Marxists who have infiltrated the Federal Department of Education, and we will have them escorted from the building.
You know, growing up, I learned about something in school called separation of church and state. And the concept is not, as they try to tell us, against religion, but instead protects it, as well as protects people and their right not to practice any religion. But in order to protect this right for all people, we have to keep separated the government's power from one particular religion. That intention is laid out in the Constitution. And when I was in school, I thought that was an issue that was put to rest. But now you have this Christian nationalism idea being accepted by so many prominent Republicans that doesn't say, hey, I want to practice my religion. It says, I want to force upon you my religion. And that's what Trump is talking about there when he's talking about implementing traditional religious teachings into school and the public square, not allowing everyone to practice their own beliefs, but telling people which religion or lack thereof is acceptable and which is not. He also referenced purging the Department of Education of people he doesn't like, which, if he were to become president again, would absolutely happen, both on the federal level, and as we're seeing in Florida increasingly, you will push out incredible educators because of your wild attacks against them. And then finally, this clip.
I will continue to stand strong against the extreme late-term abortionists in the Democrat Party who believe in abortion on demand in the 9th month of pregnancy and even executing babies after birth. They actually talk beyond birth, after birth, executing the baby. This is where we've come, and it's so sad to see.
It's just lies. It's just made up. If you don't have an effective argument for the actual argument being made on the other side, just make up something that you wish they believed and you wish you could argue against that. And it's yet another reminder that through rhetoric like what you just saw, he will justify continuing to push for the stripping away of rights of women across the country, as we've already so painfully experienced.